What is up, everybody? Hope all is well. Today we are back again for another video. Today's video topic is living an alcohol-free lifestyle, guys. This is for almost anybody out there. If you currently drink alcohol, if you're thinking of maybe quitting at some point, if you're a social drinker on the weekends, or if you maybe drink more than you think you should, you might want to hear some of the things I gotta say, guys. Stick around. Living an alcohol-free lifestyle. For myself, I quit drinking a little bit over 10 years ago. And before we get too far into this, I want to say that for the most part, it was a great decision. But if you come around this channel often, you know I'm being 100% real, 100% of the time. And if I'm being completely honest, there are definitely some things I miss about drinking. I will even say, I think there are some positives for drinking. At least I thought there were in my life, but the negatives definitely outweigh all that. I will say, living an alcohol-free life, it's definitely not easy, guys. Especially when you grew up in a culture where drinking was all around. Basically here in Wisconsin, and to be honest, I think most of the country, drinking is embedded into our culture. I could have easily called this video 10 years sober, but for my particular situation, I don't like to use the word sober. I'll tell you why. I think what happens when somebody says something like, I'm 10 years sober, that's usually because they had a problem with that certain substance. Maybe that person would have been addicted to alcohol or some other substances as well. Maybe that addiction to alcohol hurt their lives with maybe holding down a job, showing up to work hungover, maybe losing some relationships, maybe adding to some health issues, whatever it may be. There's a lot of issues alcohol can cause somebody, obviously. And alcohol, it's the most common drug to get addicted to out here in America, at least. Probably the rest of the world as well, I would assume. Alcohol probably destroys more lives than any other substance combined in the whole world. Outside of maybe this processed food everybody's eating these days. So I totally understand when somebody quits drinking for a certain amount of time and they'll say something like, well, I've been sober for 2 years. Makes complete sense. But there's a couple times I want to say, well, I've been sober for 10 years. And for me, I don't feel comfortable saying that. So why is that, guys? It's because I became sober purely to get in better health. For me, I started to get atrial fibrillation episodes and some other heart-related stuff was happening. Also for me, guys, I'm not a huge lover of our current healthcare system. So anything I can do on my own for myself, I'm definitely gonna try doing it, guys. If you guys are new here, you know I love talking about health, nutrition, and wellness. Definitely a common topic around here. Let me know if you guys like that topic. I'd be curious as well what you guys think about these walk and talk videos. I'm not sure on them, but I know they're easy to do. I like to get out here, walk and talk. It's like killing 2 birds with 1 stone. I get my exercise in and I can get a video made, get some content out there. But I'm always looking for ideas how to improve this channel, guys. So I'm always looking for advice. Anything you got to say, I'll gladly listen. Living an alcohol-free life. So I just don't drink alcohol. I wouldn't call myself sober, I guess. Now here's the thing. I can't say that I have absolutely zero alcohol in my life, because every once in a while, I occasionally enjoy a non-alcoholic beer. Some of that beer has a trace of alcohol in it. So once in a while, there's a little bit making it into my system, but almost none. I never drink more than 1 beer in a day. So what little amount is in those beers will definitely not cause any effect. And if I'm being honest, my favorite non-alcoholic beer is Heineken 0.0, which is completely alcohol-free. By the way, guys, anybody out there trying to get off the alcohol, I would definitely recommend Heineken 0.0, especially if you were more into the craft style kind of beers. Another one I've been enjoying recently is the new Blue Moon non-alcoholic beer. That's pretty tasty, though that is one of those that does have a trace of alcohol in it. Now what I should probably do here is try throwing out some pros and cons of this non-alcoholic lifestyle. One obvious positive effect of living a non-alcoholic life, well, overall, you're gonna be a lot healthier. There's so many health benefits of stopping alcohol. It's almost too many to list. Obviously, there's some common ones. If you're overweight, you need to lose a few lbs. I would definitely recommend dropping the alcohol. Any other sort of common issues, you know, you got heart stuff going on, diabetes, autoimmune issues, high blood pressure, cracked up blood results. Alcohol is gonna mess with all that stuff in a negative way, guys. Obviously, a lot of the stuff depends on the amount of alcohol you guys are drinking. If you're a couple drinks a week, guy or gal, you're probably gonna be okay, especially if you're already healthy. More negatives is if you start using this alcohol as a crutch. A lot of people dealing with depression, anxiety, they get on stuff like alcohol and other substances. Why? Because it can ease the pain for a short period of time. But overall, in the end, it makes all those symptoms much worse. If you're suffering from depression, you have a hard day, life gave you some hard stuff to deal with, you can ease that pain sometimes with a few hours of drinking. But as anybody knows, that can snowball and turn into bad things. And for sure, without a doubt, the days following, it will give you a negative reaction. Your brain will not be able to function properly, and you will continue to suffer more depression and more anxiety. In short, guys, alcohol is a poison, and no amount of poison is ever good. If you partake in a little bit of poison, you might not notice the symptoms, but obviously the more of that poison you put in your body, the more the symptoms do show up. More negatives of alcohol and drinking, well, they kind of steal you from who you really are. Instead of going out and being productive on the weekend, maybe you're kind of hurting. Maybe you indulged a little too much the night before. Sometimes this drinking becomes your lifestyle. You go to work and most of your recreation revolves around drinking. Now, I'll admit, late teens, early 20s, man, I did that stuff. And if I'm being completely honest, I had a freaking blast, guys. That's what I mentioned earlier. There were some positives in my life from drinking. For myself, I've always been kind of a more introverted kind of guy. But if I went out, got a few beers in me, I started becoming less introverted, and I got to experience being a little more extroverted. And if I'm being honest, sometimes that feels good, you know? I am still definitely proud of the introvert I am, but occasionally it was fun to see the other side a little bit. I would say I definitely met a lot more girls back in the day when I had a few cocktails in me, and I can't recall how many positive fun times I had with my buddies, hanging out in the workshop, having bonfires and parties outside. And I look back on that in my 20s and stuff, and I definitely enjoyed all that. If I didn't drink back then, would I have missed out on all that stuff? On all that good camaraderie and stuff like that with my buddies? Because back then, that's what we kind of did. If we went fishing down on the riverbank, well, by the end of that evening, we were all stumbling around, laughing our asses off, drunk as hell. Maybe we ended up in a field somewhere in a vehicle doing donuts and burnouts and stuff. Who knows, man? And those are some great memories, or half memories, maybe a bit fuzzy. Here's one. Maybe some of you non-drinkers might get mad at me for saying this, or maybe you agree 100%. I'd actually like to know what you guys think below. But for me, guys, as a musician, music lover, I gotta say, alcohol always made music sound better. Whatever alcohol does to release those inhibitions or whatever they may be, it seems as if it let the music more into my soul. Maybe you guys experience that, know what I'm talking about. But I recall some of my greatest concerts, and I look back and I think to myself, well, I was fairly drunk at that show. Would have it been as good as I remembered if I was sober? That's a tough one, I don't know that. Now that I'm 50, 10 years sober, 40 to 50, that's gone fast, guys, let me tell you. Once in a while I do think, should I crack a legit beer and have one? But I don't think it's worth it anymore. Especially now, I can get a little relief having one of these new non-alcoholic beers they got out there these days. It's come a long way since that crap Old Duels and stuff like that. Don't drink that stuff, guys. That's some nastiness. Life, it feels so much clearer with that alcohol wrecking your brain. And if you want any sense, or if you want to get to any kind of optimal health, you got to get the alcohol out. You can't do it if you're drinking, guys. I often say life is a game of odds. Why do I say that? Well, I have atrial fibrillation, permanent. I have something called hypertrophic cardiomyopathy. I have an apical bulge and significant scarring. Long story short, here in America, the average lifespan for a male is 76 years old, 77 for a female. With these conditions I just mentioned, my odds have significantly dropped of making that 76 years old. So it has been my mission to increase those odds as much as I possibly can. If you want to increase those odds, you gotta get rid of the alcohol, guys. Here's the thing, guys, when you're playing an odds game, it doesn't mean you're always gonna win those odds. You can be the healthiest MFer on this planet, and something might take you out a lot sooner than it should. And that's something else you guys can't forget about in this great big old world. Time is short, guys. It is running out faster than you think. I would recommend living most of that time in reality. Alcohol sometimes steals that reality. But yes, again, I will admit, alcohol might give you a few hours of a good time, but that few hours will lead to a day or two of bad time. When you get to be my age, 50, and you got chronic stuff going on, ditch the alcohol. Try ditching the processed foods. If you're smoking, you gotta stop smoking, guys. What do you keep doing that for? Everything we know, there's no excuse. Now, understandably, it's not easy, guys. This world we live in, this society is stacked up against us. You can't go to a grocery store and buy decent food anymore. It's really hard, especially if you don't have much knowledge on that subject. Or, that's what happened in our case, the information we were taught is completely backwards. So to become truly healthy and to have optimal health, you gotta relearn everything you were taught growing up. You gotta learn and understand what that stuff is you're putting down your pie hole. And of course, the easy one is alcohol. Alcohol is poison. There's not much thinking when it comes to that. Now, how do you get to this point where you can learn about all that stuff, learn to be healthy, and learn to stick with it? Well, you gotta become one tough son of a bitch, guys. That's the only way you can do it. You gotta be tougher than the guy next to you. When you're at the birthday party and Uncle Jim is stuffing his face with a piece of birthday cake, you gotta be the guy that is not doing that, no matter what the temptation is. And then you gotta count that as a win for you. Then you gotta go do it again. Maybe you do go to a bar and meet some buddies that you haven't seen in quite a few years. Everybody's drinking and doing shots, and the pressure is on for you to do the same. But you know what you do in that situation? Stick to your guns. Be a tough son of a bitch. Be better than everybody else around you. You're gonna skip the shots, you're gonna skip the drinks, and you're gonna win. And that is another stacked win. The more wins you stack, the better odds you have of maybe living a longer, healthier life. So keep stacking wins, keep increasing your odds, and you'll have a better chance, guys. So for me, 10 years living an alcohol-free lifestyle, I freaking love it, guys. And that's just one win, one stack. I stack that on eliminating processed foods. I stack that on not eating the desserts at the parties. I stack that on skipping the shots. I stack that by coming out and walking for 3 miles in the morning when it's freezing out. Stack, stack, stack. Because unfortunately, some of that deck is stacked against me. As I'm sure many of you out there have your issues where the deck is stacked against you as well. The best way to remedy that, increase your odds, stack the wins. I think we're good here, guys. It was a fun conversation to have. Hopefully it wasn't a bunch of garbage blabbering. I'm out here doing this stuff unscripted, guys. And if you guys made it this far into the video, what the heck is wrong with you guys? But I definitely appreciate it. Again, thanks for watching. I will see you guys next time. Take care, everybody.